Good evening, dosto. Good evening, all. So let's begin with today's session. Look at the first question. With the reference to Eritrea, consider the following statements. The first statement says, it is located in the Horn of Africa and shares the land borders with Ethiopia, Sudan, and Djibouti. Absolutely correct. The second statement says it has an extensive coastline along the Red Sea. Again, correct. The third statement is it is a member of both the African Union and the Gulf Cooperation Council. See, the first half of the statement is correct, but not the second one, right? So it is indeed a member of African Union, but not a member of Gulf Cooperation Council. The GCC was set up in 1981 and it includes the six Gulf countries, right? Not the countries of the Horn of Africa. So the question is, how many of these statements given above is oblique are correct? So only two statements are correct here. So B for Bombay would be the correct answer. Look at the explanation part, why we picked up this question. So Eritrea and Ethiopia, both are in news constantly. Right? So look at this one. First of all, look at the reason why we picked up this question. Ethiopia demands Eritrea immediately withdraw troops from its territory. And Eritrea, meanwhile, accuses Ethiopia of seeking to seize its port of Assab as part of the landlocked country's efforts to gain the sea access. So do remember the port of Assab, right? Next one is, look at the map of Ethiopia. So ये जो है आप देख रहे हैं, this is the Horn of Africa. It seems like the horn of rhinoceros, right? So in the Horn of Africa, you would find four countries. First of all, Eritrea, then Ethiopia, then Djibouti, and then Somalia, right? Chaliye. Now let's move on to the next question. So look at the question number 2. So the question number 2 is regarding the PM Cares Fund. Second question says that with reference to the PM Cares Fund, consider the following statements. The first statement says that PM Cares Fund was set up in 2020 as a response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Absolutely correct. The second statement says it is a statutory fund created by an act of parliament and forms the part of the Consolidated Fund of India. No, that's not correct. See, it is not a statutory fund, right? The third statement is the questions relating to the PM Cares Fund are not admissible in the parliament under the rules under the rules of the procedure of the Lok Sabha. Again, correct. How many of the above statements given above is oblique are correct? So only two statements, 1 and 3. So B for Bombay would be the correct answer. Why we picked up this question? So there is a strong reason. Recently, the PM Cares Fund was discussed, right, in various articles. So look at this one. We picked up this article from the Indian Express. It says that PMO says that no questions on the PM Cares. Two other funds admissible in the Lok Sabha. Reasons it gave. So PMO told the Lok Sabha Secretariat that the questions and matters related to the PM Cares Fund and the two other funds, right? कौन से वो दो funds है? So the PMNRF and the NDF. They are not admissible for the parliamentary discussion as per the rule 41(2) of the Lok Sabha, right? Do remember. Chaliye. Now let's move on to the next question. So look at the question number 3. With reference to the dragon hole, consider the following statements. The first statement is, it is located in the South China Sea. Absolutely correct. The second statement is, it is the deepest known underwater sinkhole in the world. Again, correct. The third statement says, its lower layers are rich in oxygen and supports the diverse marine life. No, that is not correct. Actually, it's just opposite. Its upper layer is rich in terms of oxygen and supports the diverse marine life, not the lower layer. So lower layer कैसी है? वहां पे absence of oxygen है, right? So that statement becomes incorrect. The fourth statement says it is deeper than the Dean's Blue Hole in Bahamas. Absolutely correct. In fact, more than 100 meters, deeper than the Dean's Blue Hole. So fourth statement is correct here. Which of these statements given above is oblique are correct? So 1, 2, and 4, right? So B for Bombay would be the correct answer. Why we picked up this question? So there is a strong reason. Look at this one. So look at the explanation part. Recently, an article was published in the Times of India, which says that the dragon hole of the South China Sea, where the ocean slowly runs out of oxygen, right? So do remember it is about 100 meters deeper than the Dean's Blue Hole of Bahamas, right? Chaliye, now let's move on to the next question. So just a moment. Look at the question number 4. With reference to the Copernicus Sentinel-2 mission, consider the following statements. The first statement says, it is an Earth observation satellite mission developed by the European Space Agency. Absolutely correct. The second statement says it aims to monitor the variability in the land surface conditions. Again, correct. Question is, which of these statements given above is the oblique are correct? So both these statements are correct here. C for Calcutta would be the correct answer, right? So why we picked up this question? So there is a strong reason. So look at the explanation part. Recently, an article was published in India Today which says that the European satellite captures Olympic venues from space as athletes compete. तो विंटर ओलंपिक्स कहाँ होने जा रहे हैं? तो विंटर ओलंपिक्स होने जा रहे हैं नॉर्दर्न इटली में. तो उसके डिफरेंट वेन्यूज को यहाँ पे सैटेलाइट ने कैप्चर किया है, राइट? So I hope you guys understood. So its primary objective is monitoring the land surface dynamics like vegetation, soil, water, and disasters, etc. Chaliye, now let's move on to the next question. So look at the question number 5. With reference to the Scalp Storm Shadow missile, consider the following statements. The first statement says, it is a long-range, air-launched cruise missile developed jointly by France and UK. Absolutely correct. The second statement says, it is currently in service with several NATO and the Allied Air Forces. Again, correct. Which of these statements given above is oblique are correct? So both these statements are correct here. So C for Calcutta would be the correct answer. Recently, Indian Air Force used a Scalp missile against Pakistan in Operation Sindoor, right? So यहाँ पे एक मेजर डील जो है वो साइन हो सकती है. Look at the explanation part. So 3,200 crore rupees Scalp cruise missile deal on cards as India and France plan defense talks, right? So do remember that it is a long range air launched cruise missile developed by France and UK jointly and with the range of 250 kilometers approximately. जो export version है उसका, it weighs around 1,300 kilograms, right? And do remember that it is equipped with the INS and the GPS monitoring system, right? So it's stealth and the low altitude flight enables the night all-weather deep strike missions. Chaliye, now let's move on to the next question. So look at the next question, question number 6. The Ningalu Reef, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recently in news due to 70% coral loss or the coral bleach, is located in. It is located in the Western Australia along the Indian Ocean. So B for Bombay would be the correct answer. Look at the explanation part. See, it is going to be a very important question, right? So look at this one. The Ningalu Reef is located off the coast of Western Australia, is stretching along the Indian Ocean near the northern West Cape. It is one of the world's largest fringing reefs, right? And lies very close to the shoreline, unlike the Great Barrier Reef, which is situated in the Pacific Ocean. So Ningalu Reef is situated in the Western Australia and in the Indian Ocean, not in the Pacific. Why we picked up this question? So recently an article was published in Down to Earth, which says that unprecedented heat waves kills nearly 2/3 of the corals at the UNESCO listed Ningalu Reef, Australia's longest and most intense marine heat wave blamed for the widespread bleaching, right? So look at this one. Look at the comparative map of Ningalu Reef and the Great Barrier Reef. So Great Barrier Reef, it is situated in the northern and the northeastern coast of Australia, right? यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं. So it is situated in the Pacific Ocean and the Ningalu Reef is situated off the western coast of Australia, right? This one. So Ningalu Reef is the world's largest fringing reef. याद रखिएगा कि जो coral reefs हैं, coral reefs are classified into 3 major reefs. So first one is the barrier reef, then the fringing reef, and then the atoll reef. जैसे लक्षद्वीप जो है, it is a fine example of atoll reef. Maldives, again a fine example of the atoll reefs, right? And when it comes to the coral reefs, so coral reefs in India are found in like Andaman and Nicobar, then Lakshadweep, then Gulf of Kutch, the Gulf of Mannar, and the Malvan region of Maharashtra, right? Chaliye, now let's move on to the next question. So question number 7. Consider the following statements. The first statement says, India's agricultural export to US has consistently increased from 2020 to 2025. No, there is no consistent increase, right? So first statement is incorrect here. The second statement says, India maintained a trade surplus in agricultural exports to US in the last decade. This is absolutely correct. अगर हम overall trade की भी बात करें, so India enjoys trade surplus, right? When it comes to the bilateral trade with America. So the question is, which of these statements given above is oblique are correct? So only two. So B for Bombay would be the correct answer here. So look at the explanation part. We picked up this question from an article of the Indian Express. So it says that the Indo-US, it basically talks about the Indo-US agriculture trade. राइट अब यहां देखिए यूएस इंपोर्ट्स फ्रॉम इंडिया क्या यहां पे आपको कोई कंसिस्टेंट इंक्रीज नजर आ रही है द आंसर इज नो राइट सो देयरफॉर द फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज इनकरेक्ट so India's agri exports to US have not been consistently increasing every year. They fluctuate due to tariffs, demand and trade policies, right? And when it comes to the bilateral trade between India and America, so India enjoys the trade surplus. तो चाहे हम agricultural commodities की बात करें या फिर other commodities की बात करें, do remember, right? So look at the question number 8. With reference to the latest inclusion of the Ramsar sites in India, consider the following pairs. The first one is the Charidhand. Is it in Rajasthan? No, that's not. It is situated in the Kutch region of Gujarat, right? So that is incorrect. The second one is the Patna Bird Life Sanctuary. The second one is the Patna Bird Sanctuary. Is it situated in Bihar? No, it is situated in UP and not in Bihar. So the question is, which of the pairs given above is oblique are correct? So correct answer would be neither one nor two, right? So none of the pairs. So D for Delhi would be the correct answer here. Look at the explanation part why we picked up this question. So recently an article was published in the Hindu, and this article is regarding the Ramsar sites in India. So India gets Ramsar tag for two more wetlands, right? So designation of these two sites under the Ramsar Convention takes the total number of such Ramsar wetlands in India to 98. तो अब present में total कितने wetlands हो गए हैं इंडिया में which are registered under the Ramsar Convention? So correct answer is 98, right? So Patna Bird Sanctuary is located in Eta of UP, not in Bihar, right? Eta district of UP, and the Charidhan Conservation Reserve is situated in Kutch region of Gujarat and not in Rajasthan, right? Chaliye, now let's move on to the next question. So look at the question number 9. Statement number 1. The term free education in the Right to Education Act is not limited to waiving the tuition fees. Absolutely correct. See, right to education is inclusive in nature, right? And do remember that Article 45 and Article 39F of the DPSP, it talks about the state funded education, right? Although DPSP is not enforceable in the court of law. Also remember that for the first time, the Ram Murthy Committee report in 1990 mentioned about right to education as a fundamental right. Okay, so Ram Murthy Committee said that the parliament should declare right to education as the fundamental right under Article 21. Also remember that the Tapas Majumdar Committee of 99 also recommended that right to education should be declared a fundamental right under Article 21. But the first official document was the Ram Murthy Committee Report 1990. Clear? So do remember all these facts and figures, and also remember one important judgment. So Supreme Court in Unni Krishnan versus State of Andhra Pradesh in 1993 ruled that right to education is the part and parcel of Article 21, means it is a fundamental right. Clear? चलिए उसके बाद what happened? उसके बाद में the Parliament of India enacted the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act 2002 and inserted Article 21A and also inserted 11th Fundamental Duty which talks about the right to education. Clear? उसके बाद क्या होता है? उसके बाद में the Parliament came up with the Right to Education Act in 2009 which was enforced in 2010, April 2010, right? So the first statement is absolutely correct here. Look at the second statement. The menstrual hygiene is a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. See, although it is not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution of India, Supreme Court recently held that the menstrual hygiene is the part and parcel of Article 21, which means that it is a fundamental right. Clear? अब यहाँ देखिए ध्यान से, first statement में क्या था? फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट में था दैट द फ्री एजुकेशन इन द राइट टू एजुकेशन एक्ट इज नॉट लिमिटेड टू वेविंग ऑफ द ट्यूशन फीस, करेक्ट है। और यहाँ पे सेकेंड स्टेटमेंट क्या बोल रहा है कि मेंस्ट्रुअल हाइजीन इज द फंडामेंटल राइट अंडर आर्टिकल 21 of the Constitution of India, right? It means what? It means that the second statement is justifying the statement number one. Understood? So, which one of the following is the correct? Which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? तो correct answer होगा A, means both statement number one and statement number two are correct, and the statement number two is the correct explanation for the statement number one, right? So A for Ahmedabad would be the correct answer here. Look at the explanation part. So recently, Supreme Court in Dr. Jaya Thakur versus Government of India ruled that the menstrual health as a facet of the right to life and personal liberty means Article 21 and Article 21A respectively. याद रखिएगा इसको. Supreme Court recently held in the Dr. Jaya Thakur case, right? So look at the question number 10, dosto. This is going to be the last question of today's session. With reference to the renewable energy in India, consider the following statements. The first statement says, India has almost half of the electricity generated as renewable energy as of November 2025. This is absolutely incorrect. See, there is a difference between the installed capacity and the actual generated electricity from the renewable energy sector. So the first statement is absolutely incorrect. There's a huge gap. So second statement says, India ranks first globally in terms of overall renewable capacity and the solar installations. No, that's not correct. India ranks third globally. If I'm not wrong, that is third or fourth globally, right? In terms of the renewable capacity and the solar installations. The third statement says the over the past decade, India's renewable capacity has more than tripled. This is absolutely correct. Clear. So how many of the above statements are correct? Only one would be the correct answer. So look at the explanation part. We can see the explanation. Just a moment. So look at this one. Recently, an article was published in Indian Express regarding India's renewable energy sector. In fact, the latest economic survey talks about it. Economic survey flagged high capital cost, delays in land acquisition, and constraints in the grid availability as the key challenges before India's renewable energy momentum. डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन आ सकता है यहाँ पे आपके सामने. इस तरह से ऑप्शंस हो सकते हैं 1, 2 एंड 3. और यहाँ पे बात हो सकती है लाइक द लैंड एक्विजिशन, डिले इन द लैंड एक्विजिशन, देन द constraints in the grid availability, and third one would be the capital cost, right? The increased capital cost. और यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन हो सकता है which of the following is oblique are a constant in India's renewable energy momentum. तो correct answer क्या हो जाएगा? All 1, 2 and 3. Clear? So land acquisition, delay in the land acquisition, then the capital cost, and the constraints in the grid availability. ये तीनों क्या हैं? ये तीनों major hurdles हैं in India's renewable energy momentum. Clear? So economic survey talks about India's renewable energy sector. अब present में इंडिया का जो renewable energy capacity है that rose from 76 gigawatt in 2014 to 254 gigawatt in 2025, means more than tripled. Right? That is absolutely correct. And India ranks third globally in terms of renewable energy capacity and the solar installations. Is that understood? याद रखिएगा ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट लाइक फिगर्स हैं जो आपको क्वेश्चंस के फॉर्म में आ सकते हैं आपके प्रीलिम्स में. क्लियर? तो उम्मीद करता हूं दोस्तों कि यू अंडरस्टूड ईच एंड एवरी एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दिस सेशन, एंड ये भी उम्मीद करता हूं कि आप सभी इन सेशंस को एंजॉय कर रहे होंगे. प्लीज लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब दिस चैनल, एंड प्लीज लाइक अपने फ्रेंड्स, अपने कंपेनियंस को आप रेकमेंड करें इस इनिशिएटिव को ज्वाइन करने के लिए. थैंक यू वेरी मच, एंड लेट्स मीट in the upcoming session. So bye bye, take care, Jai Hind.